malicious blogger and proven liar, Jim McMahon's mouthpiece in malice, claims we are going to be stopped from going to the general election and fighting for our town. Who does he think he is?
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them. On the 20th of November 2003, James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon was elected councillor for the Failsworth East Ward of Oldham. Deeply ambitious, he ruthlessly rose to power, and by 2011 he was already leader of the council. In 2015, exploiting a Labour Party loophole, he became MP for Oldham West and Royton. If only the people of the town knew then what they now know. Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.
A very, very good evening, Sunday the 18th of June 2023. This is transmission number 1 of the new series of Recusant 9 transmissions, broadcast on a Sunday evening as usual, but now member only behind a YouTube firewall. The plan is paywall. The plan is that these transmissions will be live and the people who join me will subscribe with anything from 99 pence. It offers me a series of safeguards as well as preventing those who want to access my work for free and then claim it as their own. Well, you can pay 99 pence. I think the plan is that I will do a very rough edit of this on a Sunday night and probably hold back until a Wednesday afternoon and release it just on YouTube for anyone to view on a Wednesday afternoon. So this way we can keep the momentum going. Wilby is so infuriated with, I don't know if it's my intelligence, but he is being torn apart with rage. The malicious blogger and proven liar, and it is relevant in this instance. It is very, very relevant because what they are trying to do. Remember, this is a man who is endorsed by James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon. He's endorsed by Arud Shah. He's endorsed by the Howard Sykes, the leader of the Lib Dems, and is also endorsed by a number of individuals within Oldham Council. So what they are clearly now trying to do, after that announcement of mine earlier in this week, I changed the banners on some of my social media pages with my clear intention to stand. I don't know why people doubted me, but with my intention to stand, is they are attempting to prevent my name from going on the ballot paper. Remember, there have been the names of far-right individuals, far-left individuals, convicted felons, all sorts who've made it on to the ballot paper, as is the democratic right. And these people are attempting to prevent me, a child of my town, a decorated individual with a 30-year career in serving this country, from standing for election. Just who do these people think they are? Who do these people think they are? They will not prevent us from standing for election. They will not prevent us from one of their own standing to represent the people of this town. And it is up to every one of you to decide whether or not you vote for me, because that is what a democracy is. He is not being paid, Lynn. He is riddled with envy. Riddled with envy that a working class lad like me has given him the runaround. That's what he is. He would have gone to McMahon and all the other Labour Party politicians and say, leave that Mia to me. Watch what I do to him. 1 leader down, 2 leader down, 3 leaders down, 46 seats down to 32. And a leader of the council that has retreated to Glodick. Retreated to Glodick. If you are joining me on the catch-up, this is a pre-recorded transmission from Sunday night, and I'm hoping if you're viewing this for free, then you will consider clicking that link at the bottom to either sign up for 99 pence or at the very least buy me a coffee. The links are in the description and in the pinned post beneath that. And also like, share and comment, please. Here is Neil Willoughby's post. You will not be allowed by Electoral UK, look at how he tags them in, to stand as a parliamentary candidate against Jim from Oldham. Look how he tags him in. And that is an inalienable fact. Watch what we do to you and your kind, you Pakistani rape gang protectors. Watch what this town does. They strictly don't permit general elections to be used as platforms to further long-standing personal vendettas. You numpty. I am not standing on the back of a personal vendetta. I am standing on the back of justice, striving for justice for the thousands of my children, my town's children. And until someone gives me a concrete figure, I will maintain it is thousands who have been groomed and gang raped and then failed by a council who is too scared to act and intervene for fear of consequences at the ballot box, and a police force who holds children in contempt. Take that as a fact. That is what I'm standing. I'm standing on an anti-cartel, anti-rape gang mandate to clean up my town and wrestle control away from the likes of the samosa nibbler James Ignatius or Rook McMahon, and that is my democratic right. And look what he does. Look what he's done. See that hashtag? Hashtag Oldham Hour. Oldham Hour is apparently the Oldham, you type it in Google, in Twitter, it's what all the Oldham businesses and the council use to promote the town. It's a disgrace that these individuals in the council are not distancing themselves from this proven liar. I hear he's suing someone at the moment. Come and sue me if you want, lad. Proven liar. So in Scouthead this week, Councillor Luke Lancaster and his sidekick, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? Woodvine. We're doing this bingo in the barnyard. Barnyard bingo. Councillor Woodvine, would you care to comment on the condition you found yourself in? And is it true you went looking for a bit of rough to see you through the evening? Those of you who were there, including members of the Rotary Club who were disgusted by the actions of a serving Oldham councillor, well, what do you expect of this man? He's already disgraced himself in Upper Mill with the daughter of Councillor Pam Byrne. And it's clear that these young toffs, I suppose, is the only sort of young Tory wannabes who've picked up the worst traits of those public school elite idiots who we see disgracing themselves nationally. Well, the likes of Councillor Woodvine, I think, owes the Rotary Club an apology for his behaviour, and the Conservative Party really need to rein in this individual. Dean! Come on, Dean. I expect some of my age to struggle with these computers and logging on, but you shouldn't, mate. You shouldn't. And hi, Jeanette. A very good evening. I had a drink with Graham earlier in the week. Sat in outside a pub in Royton. Big Terry Mac told me all about the cigarettes. Well, told me and Graham all about the cigarettes and the personal lives of various individuals who were walking past. I left very much entertained, Jeanette. I'm sure Graham would have told you when he went home as well. He wouldn't be too afraid to come after me because he'd have nothing to come after me for. Remember, this man, by the way, Neil Lula Boobies, attempted to prevent me from giving evidence in a criminal case against Irish Imi by claiming I'd come out gay. And Irish Imi was right to attack me. One, I've not come out gay, and two, Irish Imi was convicted and convicted again. Where's his story? Where's his new exclusive? Where's his new exclusive? Nowhere. That's because he's not a journalist. He is the equivalent of someone working for the Gestapo, whose purpose is to push out propaganda and attack those who are resisting tyranny. Because that is what we are doing in this town. Any Conservatives, do speak to Councillor Max Woodvine and maybe ask him what he meant by looking for the bar staff. Speaking of disgraced councillors, here is, and we know, the country knows who you are, Arud Shah. The country knows who you are. Arud Shah is now running surgeries. She's running them out of a mosque, the Waterloo Street Mosque. She does not hide, disguise any of this. And the contradiction, of course, is that her mayor, Dr. Chauhan, has banned prayers, Christian prayers, before council meetings. And the leader of the council is now running her surgeries out of mosques. She's not running out of a church or a temple or a synagogue. She's running it out of a mosque. Likewise, the leader of Oldham Council has, well, I've yet to see any effort from her to engage with members from any of the other communities of Oldham, even in her own ward. Where's her engagement with the white people? Where's her engagement with African Caribbean people? Where's her engagement with the Bangladeshi or the Indians? Refugees, new communities, whatever. No. She is doubling down on her Pakistani core vote, so much so that her surgeries are being run from out of a mosque. And this was the MEN headline, remember? A car firebomb, death threats and claims of cover-ups. The murky world of toxic politics in Oldham. Well, it followed the Oldham Times. Also ran Charlotte Green's article with a few changes. That's a good point, Sheila. So she won't be speaking with women in mosques. Actually, have you seen her make any attempt to speak with women so far? You've all seen the same photographs I have. Oh, come on, Sheila. Let's be honest here. I didn't think she was going to run her surgery out of a mosque. I thought she was going to run her surgery out of a mocktail bar. So Charlotte Green also had the article run in the Oldham Times. And this is why it's really, really important that we get our members up. We need to get our numbers up. We need to double down on our message and push again. Because that's what these people are doing through the Manchester Evening News, the Oldham Times, and Charlotte Green. You've seen the I Love Oldham pages, repetitive Dr. Chauhan stories. We need 2,000 people. to match the Oldham Times distribution to standard. First of all, to reach first base, really. We need 2,000 subscribers. So Charlotte Green put a story out in the Oldham Times, and this is one of the editors of the Oldham Times, Richard Duggan. He couldn't help himself. He put this up. Me when a convicted criminal calls the newsroom to moan about the coverage of their case. Who do you think the convicted criminal was that phoned the newsroom? I'm a humanitarian, you know. I do the aid to Gaza. You might have heard I set up a street patrol. I'm a humanitarian. Here is the news of the lady who has left Oldham Council, the latest executive to leave Oldham Council. Katrina Stevens was the Director of Public Health and also in charge of Heritage, Libraries, Arts, Leisure and Youth. Now, she was a temporary appointment initially before becoming a permanent member of staff in a very, very high-powered job. I think the salary was in the region of £130,000. She was one of the highest paid members of Oldham Council. Now, it would be easy of me. It would be easy for me to criticise Katrina, but it would be unfair of me to criticise her. She, as the Director of Public Health, Katrina saw us through COVID, did her best. It's not her fault the advice from the government was wrong or any of that stuff. She did her best. Director of Public Health. And she's the first of the big names to flee. She's the first of the big names to flee. And I say this because when someone in the position such as Katrina Stevens resigns and goes on somewhere else, what should happen, would happen, is that the chief executive would issue a statement. There'd be an article in the newspaper. The leader of the council and the portfolio holder for health would thank her for her services. The I Love Oldham Twitter page would be sharing her content and thanking her. Same with the I Love Oldham Facebook page. Saying a very fond and rather tearful farewell to wonderful friends and colleagues at Oldham Council today. It's been a huge privilege to be part of Team Oldham. Thank you for all your kindness and support. I'll miss you all. Go and have a look at her Twitter page and see the limited engagement from senior members of the council. Now, I can only speculate as to why she's run, and I can only speculate, and she's a runner, by the way. She runs marathons, and I can only speculate as to why she has not got the send-off that would ordinarily be bestowed on someone of her standing. The chief executive has been sacked or resigned. I'll let you decide which. And now the Director of Public Health is doing one. This is a council in crisis. This is a council in crisis. Now, there's also something else happening. Whilst the senior officers are leaving, the deck of cards is being rearranged, and Arud Shah and her allies are putting in place council officers of their choosing in strategic places. Sometimes these people are appointed without interview or any due process. I already have a number of names in key positions, strategic positions, who have been appointed into roles without due process being followed. These are strategic positions. And this information has been leaked to me from internal sources within the council, or the council officers who are very apprehensive at what is taking place around them. Not envious, apprehensive. It reminds me of one of those sort of political coups when they come in, or when they're desperate and they put their own cronies. Is the term cronyism? And no, Denise. What is taking place, which is the appointment of people into key strategic roles without due process, is not legal. But since when has that stopped people who run this town? Okay, Moving forward to May 2024. Of course, May 2024 is when 20 more seats come up and 12 of those are Labour. To succeed in removing this council and moving it into no overall control, then the 8 opposition councillors who are standing will often either need to keep hold of their seats or not lose them to Labour Party candidates. And I'm worried about there in terms of going to Labour really. Well, there's two. One is in Hollinwood, where the Labour Party will be playing cartel wars and putting up their own Pakistani candidate, which would just demonstrate to you the contempt in which they hold the other communities of this town. I think Lucia will be took out by whoever is the Failsworth independent rather than a Labour Party candidate. And the other one I'm worried about is Lewis Quigg, who only kept his seat by 20 odd votes. Now, when you keep your seat only by 20 odd votes in what was historically been a Labour Party stronghold, Royton North, Royton South, all 6 seats routinely forever were returned Labour until Dave Arnott first broke through and then Lewis followed. And now all 3 seats in Royton North are held by the Conservatives. Well, Lewis only kept hold of his seats by 20 votes. He is bound to attack the Labour Party administration because he has most of all the Conservatives, he has most to lose, right? So why would you want to pretend to play nice with an individual such as Arooj Shah and her administration? So Lewis has been putting out these very well put together videos, and they have absolutely nothing to do with me, by the way. It's way beyond my talents. Lewis has been putting out these very well put together videos with pop song sort of music in the background of quotes of Arooj Shah alongside newspaper article headlines. All true, all factual, painting the sort of picture that Arooj Shah would rather not be painted of her. And he's asking the right questions. He's amplifying your voice, isn't he? He's saying all the things that you are saying, we are saying. Moves are afoot to deselect Lewis Quigg from the Conservatives to try and prevent him from standing as a Conservative next year. Why would anyone want to do that? Why would any Conservative want to do that? Well, I'd say those Conservatives who actually don't want to fight the Labour Party and enjoyed the relationship as is. And the relationship as is was a handful of Conservatives up in Saddleworth opening the duck races and shouting and screaming Yorkshire. Graham Sheldon and his boys. I'm surprised Councillor Lancaster has yet to comment on his friend Max Woodvine. But it seems he's keen on commenting on Councillor Lewis Quigg in Royton, who's standing up, not just for the Tories, but for the town. Likewise, my suspicions are that the Pakistani Conservative councillors elected in Hollinwood are playing their own game. And I'm looking forward to Cameron Gaffor's performance and positions in the first full council meeting scheduled for the 12th of July. Cameron Gaffor has already been in touch with a number of individuals in Hollinwood, Conservative voters, or the other way, a number of Conservative voters have been in touch with Cameron Gaffor. I've seen some of the exchanges and they are predictable in nature. He was asked on his position on a vote of no confidence on Oldham Council and specifically Arooj Shah, bearing in mind she hangs off the arm of a convicted heroin dealer and getaway driver of the cop killer Dale Cregan. Instead of offering his opinion and what really should be his automatic support that he has no confidence in this individual or a council, he's meant to be a bloody Conservative, isn't he? He dodged a question and said he'll take it to the next council, the next Conservative meeting, to see what the others think. Well, what do you think? Or are your loyalties to your Pakistani brethren of more importance than your loyalty, not just to the Conservatives, but the town. Because that's what fundamentally is being asked here. Do you support a vote of no confidence in this council? In Arudshire in this council? It's a simple yes or a no. And it's not a difficult question. And yes, Gary, Graham Sheldon. And Graham Sheldon, for those of you who'll forget or need reminding, Graham Sheldon was the leader of the opposition who got, an extra £20,000 a year, or whatever it is, to be the leader of the opposition, who went on a caravan holiday and missed the most important council meeting this town has ever had, which was when Andy Burnham turned up, and it was to feedback on the findings of the assurance review into the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of our town's children. Sheldon could have come back. It would have took him an hour and a half, 2 at the most, and then gone back to his holiday. He did not. So I'm sure the likes of Graham Sheldon would rather go back to the cosy old days, as described in that newspaper article. And I'm sure, likewise, that Cameron Guffaw and his 2 Conservative colleagues in Hollinwood would rather I not scrutinise their decision-making and question where their loyalties really lie. That's exactly what Luke Lancaster likes to do. Email complaints to regional about Oldham Tories that do fight the Labour Party. Wherever the Oldham Borough Independents stood, they took a hounding. Here is proud of Oldham and Saddleworth, claiming they did not put up any candidates in the last local elections. I must have been mistaken into thinking that the Oldham Borough Independents, who were essentially all previously proud of Oldham and Saddleworth candidates, well, you can decide who's playing what games there. But in May 2024, we will be putting up candidates, so they will be putting up candidates. If you are interested, get in touch. There's Mr. John Henderson. We are interested. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Hopefully. And remember, there was no pact. They refused. Hopefully Mr. Eric and his proud of Oldham and Saddleworth team have the humility to accept that the awards in this town, they need to be nowhere near. And I'll name them if you want. Failsworth West, Failsworth East, Royton North, Royton South, Shaw, Crompton, where Mark Hinz and his team took 1 seat and became very close to taking the 2nd seat in Crompton. There's 6 wards there. Coldhurst, nowhere near. The split independents messed that up. In the Saddleworth seats where they've stood repeatedly and got nowhere. Why would you keep standing again the way they have? Oh, sorry, they didn't stand last time. But it was the candidates who stood for them the time before. Why play? Why be ambiguous like that? It weren't really us who got battered. It was you who got battered. Paul Shilton, completely destroyed in Saddleworth Western Lees after coming so close that first time. I think in Saddleworth, I'll be honest with you, and Gary Tarbuck's here, who stood in Saddleworth as an independent, we supported him. I think in Saddleworth it's time for a Saddleworth first party, for a party that is exclusively for Saddleworth, made up of the people of Saddleworth in exactly the same way as in Failsworth, and exactly the same way as in Royton, and exactly the same way as in Crompton and Shaw, and Coldhurst in the past, because in those areas we've got over the line. The template is there. The template for getting over the line is there. It's for people who have the time, who can put in the effort, like Maggie and her team, like Mark Ince and his team, like Mark Wilkinson, Kath Wilkinson and their team, Dean Ludford who's here, David Kidman who's here. People who are local, people who are respected, people who will put themselves forward and put in the effort needed. There are 9 seats up in Saddleworth, and if you want those seats, I think a Saddleworth first sort of party. I don't don't know the name, but a Saddleworth party needs to come forward. And if a Saddleworth party comes forward, then this proud of Oldham and Saddleworth nonsense needs to end. Because they've tried again. And they've failed. And the reason they've failed is, I'll be honest with you, it's not really about the candidates. I'm sure some of the candidates are decent people. It's about putting in the work. It's about running a campaign. That takes time. It takes effort. So they were one and the same then, Denise. Yeah, going off you. They have lost 3 years running. Paul Shilton, who was their candidate, told you that the Borough Independence bank account was still in the Powas name. So they were one and the same. Debbie Abrahams is claiming for the basis is trust in politics and politicians is honesty. When that's absent, then we all lose out. Abrahams is promoting herself as an advocate of honesty in politicians. I enjoy reminding Debbie Abrahams of how she doctored my social media posts in a failed attempt to have me prosecuted. Where was her honesty then? She then sat beside James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon whilst he called the people of Oldham far-right racist, far-right activists, after it emerged that the council that he was leader of had covered up the grooming and gang rape of children, white working class white girls, many of whom had been groomed at the school gates of Count Hill School, a secondary school in Debbie Abraham's own constituency. To this day, she refuses to comment on that and continues to ignore her own constituents asking her to support or even comment on a public inquiry. She wants justice everywhere else for all other matters, apart from in her own constituency on the matter of the gang rape of children. Of course, Debbie Abrahams is safeguarded in her role as MP only because of the block vote she has from Glodick, St Mary's and Alexander Wards, which rescued her at the last general election. The first time I was interviewed under caution was after Debbie Abrahams doctored evidence in a failed attempt to have me prosecuted. The police, aware that she was an MP, decided not to check the accuracy of her allegations. During the interview, I and my solicitor showed the police the original posts and how they had been doctored in an attempt to manipulate what I had actually said. The interview ended. 6 months later, the CPS acknowledged I had no case to answer. GMP then refused to prosecute Debbie Abrahams, even refused to interview her. Now imagine what would have happened to you if you had doctored evidence in an attempt to have an innocent man prosecuted because he'd spoken out against the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of little girls. Meanwhile, the Labour MP for Oldham in East and Saddleworth, who by the way was previously sacked from her position in the Sado cabinet for bullying, is now sharing on Twitter the importance of honesty in politics. Well, I have a few questions for the Pakistani block vote reliant MP. Where was your honesty when you tried to frame me for a crime I did not commit? Where was your honesty when you decided to sit beside your Labour Party colleague, Jim McMahon, when he used parliamentary privilege to accuse decent Oldham folk of being far-right activists, after it emerged that the council he was previously responsible for was involved in the cover-up of the gang rape of little white girls? Tell me, Debbie, where is your honesty now, when all the evidence shows Andy Burnham's so-called assurance review is nothing but a sham, a cover-up in its own right? Why the silence, Debbie, Why the silence to the people of the town calling for a public inquiry into the gang rape of little girls? Could it be that the Labour Party MP for Oldham East and Saddleworth would rather trade honesty for power? Just like how in Oldham West and Royton, more and more people come to the realisation of how our children were exchanged for sackfuls of postal votes. Honesty in politics. So I put that out this morning on the Telegram. I Love Oldham posted this. Greater Manchester Police student police officer roles now available. Starting salary will be 26,682, applying 10 minutes. And I think, that's a nice picture of a young woman, I think. Am I allowed to say that? It's a bit of a picturesque image, she's photogenic. GMP officer who used cadet scheme as his grooming playground, guilty of 6 sex attacks on youngsters. And that's Adnan Ali. So that's what he was and what he did. And of course, Greater Manchester Police are hoping that goes away. And now they want student police officers to join them. They want young women to join them. Who in the right mind would send their daughters to join an organisation with the senior police officers? And this is something else that happened, where the senior police officers include an individual who sent a picture of his erect penis to the wife of another police officer. That is where GMP currently are. So when they're advertising for young women, I am genuinely curious as to what exactly they're advertising for. What exactly are they advertising for? So Spindles has been revamped, yeah. Saeed Osman put a photograph up recently of how great he liked the pictures, and it was the back of not the back of Spindles, where people are falling over and stuff. Now I'm trying to work out what Saeed Osman does. He's the deputy chief executive, by the way, but I'm trying to work out what he does. Sorry. I'm laughing at Gary's post and wondering if his wife sat next to him, who will probably hit him. I'm wondering what Saeed Osman does. His deputy chief executive, £140,000 a year, plus pension and all the rest of it. I reckon he's on about the best part of £200,000 by the time it's all cost you lot. And all he seems to do is go around taking photographs. He's some sort of unofficial ambassador. And a lot of the photographs he takes, by the way, and remember, this is a Pakistani import from Blackburn. Dirty Harry bought him in, Saeed Osman. A lot of the photographs he takes are of the ethnic minority communities. Those of you who follow him will have seen that. I think disproportionately, by the way. He's shared this post by Fatima Women's Association. Now, I know Fatima Women's Association. 50 women and children out on a trip to London, celebrating King's birthday, hashtag British values, hashtag empowering females and children, hashtag mental well-being, hashtag integration, hashtag at Fatima Women's, at Glacier White, I'm not sure who that is, at Greater Manchester VRU, Osman Saeed, Shah Arooj and Councillor Jenny Oldham. Love this strength-based work. Taking trips to national locations to understand British history, culture and values is really important. Inclusivity and diversity are also about participation. This builds capacity and will help educate children. The photograph is made up exclusively of, I think, Pakistani girls. I'm trying to work out where the inclusivity and diversity is in that image. Anyone? Now, I'm not blaming the Fatima Women's Association. They're a community organisation that services mainly Pakistani women. They wanted a jaunt to London. Good on them. Good on them. But let's not pretend this is something it isn't, because this isn't about integration, nor is this about inclusivity and diversity. And Saeed Osman, if I had my way, there would be no future for an individual such as Saeed Osman in the future of this town. Definitely not at £140,000 in salary a year. Indeed, Ian. Perhaps he is going to be Jeremy Sutcliffe's replacement. Speaking of which, this is I Love Oldham, who, if you follow them on Facebook, you'll see they have been promoting Dr. Chauhan like no one's business. In a way, they didn't promote the previous mayor, Elaine Gary. No way did they promote Elaine Gary that way. But here's Zahid Chauhan, and they've just shared his post. Instead of writing something about him, they've shared his post. Remember, this is a serving GP. This is your mayor. This is a man who... I'm trying not to read this in an accent. But I don't understand it if I don't read it in an accent. But I'll read it as you and I speak first. Enjoyed spending time at Rotary Club of Oldham Metro Charter Night. That's all right, first sentence. Great stuff from capital A, amazing small s, Simon Michael, leading author. Fantastic to hear amazing work done by Rotary, international, locally and internationally, specially work to eradicate polio from Pakistan and Afghanistan. What on earth does that mean? What on earth does that mean? And these are his own words. Enjoyed spending time at Rotary Club of Oldham Metro Charter Night. Great stuff from amazing Simon Michael, leading author. Do you see why the accent helps? Fantastic to hear amazing work done by Rotary. International, locally and internationally, specially working to eradicate polio from Pakistan and Afghanistan. If you look at the Oldham Times where he's quoted, you'll see the quotes are in pristine English, grammatically correct. I don't think he speaks like that, do you? I think this is what he speaks like. Someone should take his social media account off him and make sure it's grammatically correct, because, come on, he is promoting himself on social media as the mayor of this town. Surely the mayor of this town should have his social media posts grammatically correct or somewhere near being correct. I've gone on the Fatima Women's page, and in the past they have been paid by Oldham Council, extensively funded by Oldham Council. So you'll have to ask Saeed Osman and Oldham Council how these trips are funded. If I had my way, children from every community in this town would have travelled to London to celebrate the King's birthday. Not just 50 women and children from Glodik's Pakistani community. If I had my way, and if it was about integration, if it was about British values, inclusivity and diversity, there would have been children from Limeside, Fitton Hill, Sholver, Durka, on coaches alongside children and families from Coldhurst, Worneth, Corpus, so on. But unfortunately, I don't have my way, and this town is run, sadly, because their actions demonstrate this. This town is run for the benefit of minority interests. And those minorities aren't just black and ethnic people I make reference to. I make reference to those who prosper from it, who are coming from the south of Manchester, the fake liberal metropolitan elite, who play one community off against the other. And in the hierarchy of race, as I've always maintained, the white working class are at the bottom. So we've got the questions off to the council regarding a whole host of public questions for the next council meeting. And one of the questions, of course, is to do with Pride. And it's to do with Pride for a number of reasons. One is Pride Month. The council have already promoted Pride Month. In fact, look at the Oldham Council logo on this page. You can see they've amended the logo. So it's the Pride colours. Yeah, that's what they've done. This is from a piece of research that Channel 4 did. Well, half of British Muslims think homosexuality should be illegal. Okay, so that's 50% of British Muslims actually think homosexuality should be illegal. Homosexuality, of course, is not illegal in this country. And this came out just a couple of hours ago. In Keighley, the mayor who held up this Pride flag, yeah, because it's Pride, he's the mayor, apologised for taking part in Pride event. This is the mayor. Anger has erupted after Keighley's town mayor apologised on social media for taking part in a Pride flag raising ceremony. Councillor Mohammed Nazam participated in the ceremony held annually in Keighley's Town Hall Square on Friday. So it's a civic event. But he has subsequently posted on a Facebook page called Keighley Pakistanis that he wholeheartedly apologises for participating in the event and describes his decision as a lapse in judgment. I'm a Bangladeshi Muslim. I'm very clear that in this country we live by the laws of our nation. We're a liberal Western democracy. And we don't stone gay people or hang them like they do in Iran. We don't hang homosexuals. And we don't scorn people because they're gay. And I've been attacked in my own position, in my own community for this position. I think it's vital in a town like ours that our leaders demonstrate leadership. And I think it's essential that Councillor Zahid Chauhan in his capacity as mayor and Councillor Arooj Shah in her capacity as leader of the council lead the Pride March in Oldham and wave the banners proudly. In fact, I think they should be walking through Glodick. That march should go through Glodick to demonstrate to the people of Glodick that our Pakistani Muslim leaders of this town embrace our values, our Western liberal attitudes, and I think Pride March should go down Waterloo Street. What do you say? With Arooj Shah on one side and Dr. Chauhan on the other side, holding up a Pride flag. I do. I genuinely do. Because I see these people and people like them time after time after time taking from other communities and other places. I look at during Ramadan, I look at how I look at how churches were used as venues to break fasts. I see the accommodation from other faiths and I see the accommodation from other communities towards the Muslim community, my community. And I see us take, but not give back in the same way. So we want diversity and inclusivity on our terms where it suits us. Well, I'm sorry, the gay community is part and parcel of the fabric of this land. And it is imperative that these politicians stand tall in the face of prejudice from within their own communities, because if you want to fight injustice, if you want to fight prejudice, you need to fight it everywhere. So we will see if Dr. Chauhan commits to leading Pride. We'll see if Arooj Shah marches, because if they don't and they refuse, well, then that sends out a clear signal to every Muslim in this town as well as to everyone else that some prejudices are allowed. Some prejudices are allowed. And Nikki, I'll tell you this right now. When I am elected as MP, I will march at the front of Pride. I will march at the front of Pride. I will have no issue with it whatsoever. Because when you take up a civic role, particularly a leadership role, then whatever you believe is secondary. And I genuinely do believe that. So the Keighley Mayor has apologised for taking part in a Pride event. And at the same time, in the United States, and I rarely do this, but it's relevant, at the same time in the United States, in Michigan, liberal dismay as Muslim-led US city bans pride flags. Bans pride flags. Many liberals celebrated when Hamtramck, Michigan, elected a Muslim-majority council in 2015. But a vote to exclude LGBTQ plus flags from city property has soured relations. It was the first city in the United States to elect a Muslim majority city council. And that Muslim majority city council has now banned pride flags. It is my position that Ivarud Shah, the leader of Oldham Council, and Dr. Chauhan in his capacity as mayor, that comes with duties. You don't have to take it. She didn't have to take it. It comes with responsibility. If they refuse to openly support pride and promote it, then who is in charge? Who is in charge? And in the background, Pauline, is that it makes no sense to me to this day. The banning of prayers and replacing them with inspirational stories. I'm looking forward to hearing these inspirational stories and who reads them out. Maybe Dr. Chauhan will read them out. So what I want to do, so to promote Telegram and get more people signed up, is put out a free-to-air Telegram transmission on a Tuesday night. Thinking, Tuesday night telegrams or something like that. And I want to run that via Telegram. So that's the idea. I'm going to try that on Tuesday night. I'm going to put out this video edited down on a Wednesday, free to air, at 12 p.m. at noon on a Wednesday. So people who won't pay, can't pay, can still access the content, but it's just delayed. And then what I'm also planning on doing is holding surgeries. I am serious. I am very, very serious about standing for election. Very, very serious. And I will stand up for election, for MP. And what I've noticed is James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon is in hiding and is refusing to run surgeries. Now, the purpose of surgeries is to help the constituents of the town. I will run surgeries. And you know where I'm going to run them from? I'm going to run them from the park, the space outside Chadderton Town Hall. So it is my intention once a week to hold surgeries outside Chadderton Town Hall. I'm thinking maybe a Thursday, 10 o'clock till 2 o'clock sort of time. I will run surgeries outside Chadderton Town Hall. Where the War Memorial is, you will find me running surgeries, and I'll promote those time slots on social media. So people in Oldham, West and Royton who are in need and want an advocate or someone to support, which I do anyway for many people, I will officially do that as a parliamentary candidate, and I will do it from outside Jim McMahon's office. I might also nip inside to use the £100,000 toilets. I'm sure the public toilets. I might nip inside to use the toilet as well. So that is what I am going to do. I am going to run surgeries from outside Chadderton Town Hall. I'm trying to keep a straight face. So that's what I'm going to be. This Thursday onwards is the plan. I have much more to talk to you about. I want to do a session specifically on, I'll do it on Tuesday night, but I'm going to do a session specifically on the fallout of the Nazi group, as they call themselves, on Snapchat at Saddleworth School. I think that deserves some exclusive time. So I think I'll start on Tuesday night. The Telegram on Tuesday will start with that. So I'm going to do that on Tuesday night. And on Thursday, I plan on running surgeries. Please, if you find value in these transmissions, now I don't need any of you to pay anything because you all pay 99p on top of whatever else you pay. Please promote to your friends, your family, and your network. Try and encourage as many people as possible to sign up to these transmissions. The aim is to get to 2,000. It isn't just about competing with the Oldham Times. If we are to win at the next election in May, we need a wider reach. We need to kick on from where we are. And we're not. We've stalled. And we need more. We need more people to sign up. We need more people to share the content. And we need to go again. Now, if you think I've come to the end of my journey in doing this, then just let me know. And I'll just stop. But I'm not seeing anyone else come forward to do this. So please like, please share. I will see you all very, very soon. Take care. Good night.
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.